Let's call this work session back to order. I thought y'all bet I was going to forget that again, but work session back to order. Any other business coming before the work session? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, let's start the city council member December 5th. Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith.
Here.
Gustafson.
Here.
Perry.
Here.
J.R. Smith.
Here.
Brabner. Mayor.
I am here. Our invocation and pledge will be led by our city attorney, Mr. David Connor. If you please rise.
Father, we thank you for everything you give us, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here. Father, there's so much going on in this world, but we know that you are in control. And if this time of the year tells us anything, is that you bring hope to this world. And that we thank you for that. And we thank you for loving us. And we thank you for everything that you do for us. I thank you for these people here that are giving of their time and serving this community, and ask that you give them wisdom, and each employee and each person, staff person, department head that worked hard to do what is right every day in this community. And Father, I ask that you bless them also and give them wisdom. Father, thank you for those people that protect our freedoms. And Father, we ask that you bless this community, each citizen, man, woman, boy, girl, and that you bless them. Let them know that you love them and care for them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Ask for the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, work session, November 21, 2022, regular meeting, November 21, 2022, work session, November 22nd, 2022, and work session, November 30th, 2022. Are there any corrections? If not, stand approved as written. Committee reports, Mr. Connor.
No reports, Mayor.
Ms. Gaines.
No further report.
Chief Barber. Chief Few. Mr. Tucker. Good job. All right, we'll open up the floor for public participation. You'd like to address the council. Now is your opportunity. Please come forward. Give us your name and address. The floor is now open. Seeing nobody dashing to the podium, we'll move from that. Sit back because we got quite a list of announcements. Congressman Jerry Carl recently sent out a survey to the Spanish Fort residents asking for feedback about our postal service. Please check your email inbox. Fill out that survey. If you did not receive a survey, please send your comments to jerry.carl@mail.house.gov. It is important that the Congressman and his staff receive your feedback. We also have hard copies here at City Hall that we will get to them. Please, I cannot begin to stress enough to you the importance. This is the only way we're going to get this moving forward. We have got to get a public outcry going, so please help us out. We want to thank everyone who attended the tree lighting last night at the Community Center. I'd like to thank the city staff for decorating. I'd like to thank Ms. Carolyn Womack and the Spanish Fort High School Choir, as well as the Dogwood Trail Maids for participating. We also would like to thank our volunteers from the Junior Council, Lucy Walden and Jack Russo's, for participating. Join us for the remaining Christmas in the 40 events for 2022. Several events scheduled on this Saturday, December 10th, 6 p.m. Come celebrate the annual City of Spanish Fort Spirit of Christmas Parade held at the Eastern Shore Center. The parade route will begin at Dillard's. There will be lots of floats in Santa too. It doesn't actually begin at Dillard's. It actually begins at the movie theater right there. Close. That's what's always been said. Yeah. All right. Join us for the City of Spanish Fort annual reading of The Night Before Christmas by Clement Clark Moore. Thursday, December 15th at 6 p.m. here at the Spanish Fort Community Center, 7361 Spanish Fort Boulevard, Spanish Fort, Alabama. Parents are encouraged to bring their children in their pajamas and their favorite blanket. There'll be cookies and hot cocoa for the children. The Junior City Council will also be sponsoring a canned food drive to benefit the Prodigy Pantry at this event. Those attending the events at the Community Center are encouraged to bring canned goods to support the food drive. Christmas tree recycling will be available at Fire Station Number 1, which is just catty corner from us here. That's 7580 Spanish Fort Boulevard. A roll-off dumpster for replacements of trees side of the property beginning December 19th and will be in place through January the 13th of 2023. The city will be partnering with Waste Pro to place roll-off dumpsters at Spirit Park located at Emily Francis Lane beginning December 19th and continuing through January 3rd for the purpose of recycling paper and cardboard generated from the holidays. Other forms of trash should not be placed in these dumpsters, and debris should not be also. Strictly paper and cardboard, please. Spanish Fork Community Center will be closed for Christmas holidays, December 23rd, 2022, and December 26th, 2022. Spanish Fork Public Library will also be closed on Christmas Eve, December 24th. The Community Center will be closed on January the 2nd, 2023 for New Year's Day holiday, and the library will be closed on December 31st for New Year's Eve. There is no old business. On the new business, we have a public hearing tonight on ordinance number 611, 2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, this is a proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance that would change the table of permitted uses to allow for convenience store, including gasoline dispensing, by special exception in B2, Planning Commission approval in B3, and by right in B4. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 1, 2022, and forwards a positive recommendation for this amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? I'll open up the public hearing. If you'd like to address this issue, please come forward, give us your name and address. Public hearing is now open. Public hearing is now closed. Any discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 611-2022.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, and I guess we'll call this the Papa John ordinance number 611, because finally you got to where you need to go, I think. That don't mean you can leave. You have to suffer through the rest of the meeting, though.
Don't worry, it's only about 400
Well,
items.
just for the record,
Yeah.
now you got to submit to Planning Commission, because you got to go through the Planning Commission process. I just want to make sure we're clear
Yeah.
about that.
But you have a path now. Okay. Okay, then we'll have a public hearing on ordinance number 612, 2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the city of Spanish Fort. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is an ordinance to amend, again, the table of permitted uses of the zoning ordinance. On May 17, 2021, Governor Kay Ivey signed the Darren Weekly Hall Compassion Act into law, which authorizes medical marijuana and also, in certain circumstances, upon approval of the local governmental entities, the operation of medical marijuana dispensaries. On November 14, 2022, the Planning Commission held a public hearing to discuss and make a recommendation regarding the areas where such medical dispensaries should be authorized or allowed in the city of Spanish Fort. Attached as Exhibit A is a table of permitted uses, which would authorize medical marijuana dispensaries with Planning Commission approval in B2, Planning Commission approval in B3, and Planning Commission approval in B4. We'll note for the City Council that apothecaries are allowed with Planning Commission approval in B2, by right in B3 and B4, and drug stores are allowed by right in B3 and B4. And based on our discussions that this was a new use and the laws developing as well as the oversight, it was determined that the recommendation would be for Planning Commission approval so that you'll have some further input as to whether or not that's a particular location is appropriate for that use.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council?
Well, whoever went to that League of Municipalities meeting where they talked about this kind of explained that there will only be a handful throughout the state, and people really don't need to be that concerned that gonna have one in Spanish Fort?
Well, first of all, there'll be 37, I believe, is the number across the whole state.
Oh, I thought it was a much smaller number, I'm sorry.
It's 37, and I think you have to be site-specific by the end of this month. And then it goes to the state for the approval, so I understand they've gotten like thousands of applications, so it's, you know,
I thought it was a smaller number.
yeah.
Well,
There
I
is some
assume
interest here.
with the number of 37, I would assume that Huntsville, Montgomery, Mobile,
Tuscaloosa,
Birmingham,
Auburn.
Tuscaloosa, and then your resorts like Gulf Shores, I would think that they would be in the top picking of the 37 for the whole state. I don't think that we're that big of an attractor here.
Okay. We have a public hearing on this item. Any other discussion from the council? Public hearing is now open. Please give us your name and address if you'd like to address this item. Public hearing is now closed. Further discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
I
Motion
move we
to,
approve ordinance 613-2022. Oops, the one above it.
612.
612-2022.
second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the ordinance is adopted. We'll also have a public hearing on ordinance number 613, 2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama. David?
Mayor, this is a proposed amendment to the table of permitted uses to remove and prohibit uses related to warehouse, storage, and distribution facilities in B4 Major Business District. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 14, 2022, and forwards a positive recommendation for this amendment to the zoning ordinance. If you'll recall, a couple of years ago, the discussion came up about whether or not warehouse facilities or storage to distribution facilities should be allowed in B4, and there was a movement toward allowing that potentially in the city with Planning Commission approval in B4. Since that time, there has been no B4 constructed. Some of the interest that was originally sparked this went away. And it was discussed that in hindsight, based on the development of the city, available land for general commercial development, the location to residential areas, and potential impacts that a warehouse facility might have in a B4 zoning classification, it was determined and recommended by the Planning Commission that that use be prohibited in B4 and remain in our M1 zoning classification at this time. And so they forward a positive recommendation for this change in the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Mr. Connor, discussion from the council? We'll have a public hearing. I think we're going to hold this item over, pending some additional information that I think Ms. Brabner is going to bring us forward. So let's open up the public hearing. I'm sorry, did I cut you off, J.L.?
I was just gonna ask, as far as the table of permitted uses, how it is in B4 now, is it by right, by planning commission approval, or what?
In B4 right now, it's with Planning Commission approval.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address this item, please come forward, give us your name and address. Seeing no one dashing to the front, we'll close the public hearing. Discussion from the council. As stated in our work session, I think there's some additional information that Ms. Brabner is going to distribute to the council. So, Ms. Gaines, if you'll please move this to your next agenda meeting. Moving to ordinance number 614, 2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 5196 of the city of Spanish Fort, changing the zoning classification of certain property located at 32128 Broken Branch Circle, Spanish Fort, Alabama, from R1 to B2. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this property is located at 32128 Broken Branch Circle. It is in the Business Park. Woodside Business Park. I'm sorry, I got hung up on that. Woodside Business Park on 31 near the Cameron subdivision at the easternmost portion of the city. This property was brought into the corporate limits by local legislative act and came in as a default as R1 single-family low-density Residential District. They've requested the property be rezoned to B2. Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 10 and forwards a positive recommendation for this rezoning request.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. Discussion from the council? If hearing none, we'll open up the public hearing. If you'd like to address this issue, please give us your name and address. Floor is open. Public hearing is now closed. Discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 614-2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, the ordinance is adopted. I'd like to present Resolution 1271, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Spanish Fort to enter into an agreement for acquisition of certain real property located within the corporate limits of the city of Spanish Fort. I know we had discussion on this. This item is not quite ready for the agenda and will be on your next meeting agenda. Any discussion on that item? David, do you have anything you want to add?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Mayor.
All right, I'd like to present Resolution 1275, 2022, a resolution approving of an act to be enacted by the legislature annexing certain property into the corporate limits of the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama. David?
Mayor, with the assistance of the governor and the Alabama Department of Conservation and the state of Alabama, the city was able to purchase the property on the west and east side of Highway 225, just south of Baymonette Creek, which is we call the Cypress Point Project property. That property is not contiguous to the corporate limits of the city, and therefore we have to seek a legislative act to have it annexed into the corporate limits of the city. And so this resolution would authorize the mayor to apply for such act to the legislative delegation and advertise in the appropriate newspaper for that act to be introduced.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? I think we all know how important this piece of property is to our city, so I would like to have a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 1275-2022.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Ms. Gaines, if you would, get this resolution to Cliff McCollum as soon as possible so we can get him working on the legislative act. Moving to Resolution 1276, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for geotechnical testing and engineering services between the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama and Geocon Engineering and Materials Testing, Inc. David?
Mayor, this is a proposed agreement with Geocon Engineering and Materials Testing, Inc. for the purpose of providing engineering services and geotechnical testing for proposed Fire Station Number 1 project in Spanish Fort. A copy of the agreement is attached as Exhibit 1 and the fee estimate in the amount of $7,610 for the scope of work. And this is work that we provided to the engineers for the purpose of preparing design, drawing, specifications, and construction documents for the construction of that facility.
David, I know during the work session, there was something brought up on this one particular about a single story in the first paragraph, single story fire station. That would have to be changed because it is going to be two-story.
The resolution says, subject to any changes approved by the mayor, so we just need to make that before you sign off on it, Mayor.
Can we not just strike the word single story out of that first paragraph?
We certainly can, but that's on their letterhead and their contract, so they'll need to be resubmitted to us. But yes, we absolutely can. I would strike it and put two-story or two-story, I guess. Is it a 2 or 3? What's the fire department going to be?
2.
2-story. So let's write 2 there, and then we'll ask them to make the change on their document and resubmit.
Okay, further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 1276-2022 with the verbiage change of single story to two-story and any other thing deemed necessary by the mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to present Resolution 1277, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and Sawgrass Consulting LLC. Mr. Connor?
I know that the mayor and council are excited, and the chief, fire chief, and the department is excited about seeing these projects move forward. This is another contract as it relates to the design, landscape design, civil engineering, land surveying, professional engineering services, and consultation regarding the construction of Fire Station Number 1. This is with Sawgrass Consulting LLC. The amount of the contract is for a lump sum of $75,000. And this is another design professional along with the architects and all that will be involved in the preparation of these plans.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1277, 2022.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. Moving on to Resolution 1281, 2022, a resolution awarding a bid for the installation of irrigation and power in work area number 1 along Highway 31 in the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, the lowest responsible bid submitted for the installation of irrigation and power in work area number 1 along US Highway 31 was submitted by Gordon and Zachary, Inc. in the amount of $250,102 for the installation of irrigation and power in that area. As per their bid dated November 1, 2022, and a copy of the proposed contract based on that bid is attached as Exhibit 1, subject to any changes deemed necessary by the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion on this item? Mighty thick contract, I know that. Have you reviewed this all, Mr. Connor, yet at this point?
Most of it, but I'll finish it up, any other changes, just to make sure before you sign.
All right, have a motion or discussion? We have a motion?
Make a motion, we approve Resolution 1281-2022.
Second?
Kinda got a problem with that comment. We're gonna approve something that our attorney hadn't even read all the way through yet?
It's,
It just kinda doesn't sound right.
well, the contract is awarded based on the low bid. I have reviewed the standard form, but I'm going to double check to make sure that all their terms that we normally include are there. And it's subject to any changes deemed necessary by the mayor.
So if there's anything out of ordinary, it'd come back to us. Any further discussion?
No, I won't be voting.
Roll call?
I think it's wrong.
Kurt Smith, rather.
Yeah. Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Nope.
Mayor.
Yes. Resolution is adopted. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1283, 2022, a resolution ordering the abatement of public nuisance at 30722 Cemetery Road, Spanish Fort, Alabama. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed resolution ordering the abatement of a public nuisance at 30722 Cemetery Road. On October 4, the building official for the city issued pursuant to ordinance number 246, 2006, a notice to Myra K. White, identifying the public records of the Revenue Commissioner as the owner of the property, and also issued a notice to Robin Smith, the occupant of the property located at Cemetery Road, regarding nuisance violations and violations of other applicable laws, ordinances, and regulations. We held a public hearing on November 21, 2022, regarding the proposed, the alleged nuisances. The building official, Eddie Tucker, testified at that hearing, as well as the occupant, Robin Smith. The testimony revealed that there were overgrown weeds and tall grasses, accumulation of trash, construction material and debris, junk or inoperable vehicles and equipment on the property, and an accumulation of excess items which create a breeding ground for vermin, pests, and mosquitoes, and the yards have various household items, lumber, equipment, and other debris piled up in violation of the applicable laws, rules, and regulations, including but not limited to the nuisance ordinance as well as the zoning ordinance, which would prohibit the parking of abandoned and inoperable vehicles. Also, we noticed and attached by reference, or referred to by reference, the notice of violation letters and photographs made as a part of the record at the hearing. This is a requirement of the ordinance that there be written findings made by the city council regarding the nuisance, and then upon the declaration of a nuisance, then action is taken to abate the nuisance. So in section 2, it says the city council hereby finds that the conditions of the property located at 30722 Cemetery Road constitutes a public nuisance pursuant to ordinance number 246, 2006, and orders in section 3 that the nuisance be abated, as well as require compliance with notice being sent to the property owners and compliance with all abatement procedures relating to the work to be performed and reporting back. I asked the building official, Eddie Tucker, earlier today to make sure that he had went by the property to see if any changes had been made or the condition of the property so that he could report to you all tonight. And Mayor, with your permission, I would like for you to hear from him to state what the condition of the property is today.
Mr. Tucker?
Yes, I did a drive-by inspection this morning around 9 a.m. There seems to be possibly one vehicle moved, no more than that. The property, other than that, doesn't seem to have been changed much, no abatement that I could see.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Anything else, Mr. Conner?
No further on that, Mayor, other than for your discussion and determination in accordance with this resolution.
Discussion from the council?
I want to go on record by saying that we've had, 4 notices over the span of 2 years, and nothing has been done. This is in my district. Excuse me?
Okay, no, we
Oh,
don't, that's not, ma'am, floor is not open for discussion, please.
It's been 2 years, and there've been several attempts to get things done. I've heard from
Ms.
neighbors.
Smith, Ms. Smith, you're out of order. Please hold it down. Please hold it down. Please.
I've heard from neighbors.
Please hold it down, Ms. Smith. Thank you.
Excuse me. I've heard from neighbors about vermin. I've heard of snakes. We know about mosquitoes. I've heard of things blowing down the street. Unfortunately, there wasn't more with the past storm. It would have been nice, a little help cleaning it up. But it's been 2 years, and those have gone unnoticed. Those have gone unanswered. So one car does not constitute cleaning up a lay-down yard. So.
Thank you, Mr. Gusson. Any other council member have any discussion items on this? With this being introduced tonight, this will be on our next agenda. Moving to Resolution 1284, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for engineering services between the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama and Dewberry Engineers. Mr. Conner?
Mayor, this is a resolution approving agreement between the city and Dewberry Engineers for a wetlands delineation on lots 6 through 10 Cason Trace. A copy of the proposed agreement is attached as Exhibit 1, and the amount of the wetland delineation is $1,050.
Thank you, Mr. Conner. Discussion from the council? This also is being introduced tonight and will be on your December 19th agenda. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1285, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Spanish Fort and Alabama First Responders Benefit Program. Mr. Conner?
Mayor, this is a proposed agreement between the city and Alabama First Responders Benefits Program to provide cancer benefits and a long-term disability plan in accordance with the proposed contract, which is attached as Exhibit 1. It's my understanding that this agreement has to be approved tonight. Is that what you're saying, Becky? So it would require a suspension of rules if you were to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Conner. Discussion from the council? This is an item because of the merger with the fire department. It's a new contract that has to come through the city. The fire department still has theirs with their volunteers and those. So it is time sensitive that we need to move this forward. Any further discussion? Do I have a motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt Resolution 1285, 2022.
Second.
Was that JR?
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith.
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1286, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and LifeScan Wellness Centers. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proposed agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and LifeScan Wellness Centers to provide required yearly physicals to certified paid firefighters in accordance with fire department policies and procedures. A copy of the agreement is attached as Exhibit 1, and this is a combined price that they're giving based on combining with the Bay Minette Fire Department. And the agreement is attached as Exhibit 1.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council?
Do our police officers do the same thing?
No.
It's my understanding from talking to Chief, it's something to do with the inhalation of smoke and stuff. These are scans that would show up things that regular physicals would not show up, that the firefighters are dealing with.
Any further discussion? This is being introduced tonight and will be on your December 19th agenda. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1287, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for accounting and auditing services between the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama and Adviso Group, Inc. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is proposed agreements between the city and Adviso to provide accounting and audit services for the City of Spanish Fort. The tax proposal is for $28,550 to conduct that audit. For the Cooperative Improvement District of the City of Spanish Fort, Highway 181 public facilities for the sum of $4,725, and for the Highway 98 public facilities cooperative district for the sum of $4,725. This is for the annual audit that's done every year.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? It's being introduced tonight and will be on your December 19th agenda. We have a request for a 0.50 retail beer off-premise only and 0.70 retail table wine off-premise only alcohol license. MMCS Services LLC, doing business as store 865 10304, Spanish, U.S. Highway 31, Spanish Fort, Alabama 36527. David?
Mayor, my understanding is that this is a license that affects the Marathon Station at, near the Eastern Shore Center, that it is a transfer of a license from Spanish Trail Marathon trade name, the applicant's Bayshore Oil, Inc., to MMCS Services LLC. It's a transfer license for these licenses to be used at that facility.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? Do I have a motion to adopt or approve the request?
I move to approve the request for a 0.50 retail beer off premises only and a 0.70 retail table wine off premises only alcohol license.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, motion carries. Request is approved. Any other business come before the council tonight? Motion to adjourn?